Hello and welcome to another edition of the Midline Bulletin. My name is Lee. I am with the PBS committee, and today we are going to discuss denial mode. And despite its name, it's actually not a bad thing. Now, denial mode only occurs when you fail to reach the credit window. This means that PBS has actually tried to build you a line, but you just don't have enough pairings to reach that credit that is set. Now, this could be a result of limited pairings caused by too many negative statements. A negative statement would be your prefer offs and your avoids. What will happen is denial mode will add pairings back into your pairing pool by denying your negative statements. Something to note is NAV Blue PBS cannot deny your contractual rights. So this would be your waiving your minimum days off, waive no same day starts, waiving 1 day off in 7. NAV Blue cannot deny your contractual rights. This is 100% pilot controlled. It's important to understand how each line is denied. Condition bids are an all or nothing statement. That means it needs to honor this entire line or it will deny the entire line. Avoid bids are an all or nothing statement. So on line 6 here, I have avoid pairings if any duty is equal to 3 o'clock. That is essentially my way of avoiding red eyes. Line 7, I put avoid pairings at any landing in Burbank and LaGuardia. If it cannot avoid pairings both in Burbank and LaGuardia, it will deny this entire line. So something you may want to consider is maybe putting these on two separate lines. Avoid pairings if any landing at Burbank, and then on the secondary line, put avoid pairings if any landing in LaGuardia. Now, the exception to the rule is a prefer offs. Prefer offs can work on the same line, and it goes from the left to the right, and it can deny individual days off on the same line. Order your negative statements from the most important to the least important. For prefer off, it will go from the left to the right, and for your avoids, it will go from the top to the bottom. Negative statements can be placed in any order, so place them in the order of importance. All right, let's jump into a bid. Right here, I have a basic bid set up where I've waived my minimum days off to 2, I've waived my same day duty starts, waived 1 and 7, I preferred off some days, avoided duty at 3 o'clock, avoided landings in Burbank and LaGuardia, and then I put a few grain statements. This is basically the type of flying I like to do. If NAV Blue is unable to award in this particular bid group, it will go into what's called denial mode. Now, in denial mode, it will turn off all of my negative statements. So it will turn off lines 5 through 7, and it will attempt to build a line. When all of the negative statements are turned off, if NAV Blue is unable to find a valid solution, it stops and it will move to reserve. If it is able to build a line, it will take this and make it the most valid solution. So if it is able to build a line by turning off all of my avoids, it will take that line and it will store it over here as the most valid solution. A valid solution is defined as a solution that reaches that month's credit window. Now, if it was able to find a solution, it will slowly turn our preferences back on. So since I chose March 15th as my most important date, it will turn that on and it will try to find a solution. If it is able to find a solution, it will consider that the most valid solution. It will store it over here to the right. It will continue this process by turning on March 14th. If it is able to find a valid solution, it will store it as the most valid solution here to the right. However, if it is unable to find a solution, it will turn March 14th back off and it will take its previous solution and store that as the most valid solution. It will continue the process by turning on March 16th and trying to find a valid solution. If it can find a valid solution, it will store that as the most valid solution and continue down to our avoids. Now it will turn on avoid pairing if any duty is equal to 3 o'clock. If it's able to find a valid solution, it will turn that on and store that as the most valid solution. It will continue down to my next avoid, which is avoid pairings of any landing in Burbank and LaGuardia. If it is able to find a valid solution, it will store that as the most valid solution. If it's unable to, it will take the previous valid solution and store that, and it will turn landings in Burbank and LaGuardia back off. And this would be the most balanced solution in denial mode.
Yeah.
Just as a reminder, order your negative statements from most important to least important. Prefer alls will go from the left to the right. Your avoids will go from the top to the bottom. And again, negative statements can be placed in any order, so list them in the order of importance. Depending on your seniority, each additional negative statement that is honored increases the chances that further negative statements will not be honored. I hope this helps you out. If you have any questions, as always, please feel free to send us a dart. We're always here to help. Thanks. Have a great day.